dissatisfaction with, at least this is not it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm seeking, but it's definitely not this. Perhaps that, right?
Yeah.
We humans are not meant to fit in cubicles or run into these patterns of profit seeking. That is not who we are in essence, at least. It can be on other layers, but
Yeah.
yeah, so I think when I'm listening to you, this is what's coming to me. That there is this intuitive inner knowing of who we are before we can find words for it.
Yeah.
Before we can find philosophies for it. And I think anyone perhaps who is listening to this or even who is attracted to this already have this.
We'll go in a different language of Prarabdha, but like each body has a certain role. And yeah, you can call it destiny maybe. And the spiritual journey is also in a way being completely comfortable with whatever role you are given in the world.
Yeah.
Having this deep trust that
Welcome. Today is an auspicious day and it was not planned.
not at all.
But today is Ramana Jayanti.
Yes.
And Ramana Maharishi has a big part to play in everything in my life, and I am taking liberty to say in his life as well, and for bringing me and him to Tiruvannamalai individually and for making us meet, and perhaps for doing this as well. I'm assuming that. So welcome to this series, which is unnamed so far. We'll find the name towards the end of the podcast sometime or sometime later. The intention of this podcast series is bringing in different seekers on the path who have had various different kind of journeys, who are on this quest, on this inner search. Yeah, that's the intention. We all have different maps and visit our maps. Today I want to welcome our first guest, Jubin. How do I introduce him? I first met Jubin through a blog. I was searching about Tiruvannamalai. I wanted to come here. I was searching and then I found his blog. I mailed him. He responded. I come here. He became a big part in my journey and my coming here. And then we find out we have a lot of different connections from the past. Our Himachal chapter and our Gujarat chapter and many different mysterious threads that weave our path together. So it's an honor to have him here. Thank you so much for agreeing to it.
Thank you.
And co-creating this. And I'm very curious to see what comes up today. Anything you feel like sharing as we start, or maybe we have started?
Yeah. Likewise. I think first and foremost, Ramana Jayanti, it's a very special day. This wasn't planned at all. Wasn't planned to be here, have a video, shoot some things that I've loathed in the past, that why do people do this, but we find ourselves
Bear with my laughters.
we find ourselves in this position, but the intention is pure. I think we are doing this, I think, more of synthesizing our own journeys and expressing probably what comes up, not for anyone, maybe primarily for ourselves. Introduction wise, as in, yeah, I've gone through a journey in how I would describe myself, primarily Ramana devotee, an ardent Bhagavan devotee, and part-time meditation instructor, if you may, and for bread and butter, a full-time marketing director at Capillary Technologies. So I live two apparently different lives, one fully in the corporate world and one here, but in essence they're all the same. There is the journey, it's the same thing, it's the same energy that makes you do different things. But yeah, in brief, I think that's what I am doing right now. And yeah, that's this body mind complex too.
I love that. I love that the way you introduce yourself, and I just want to pick a few things from what you introduced.
Yeah.
Why did you do I'm doing this?
Hmm.
What does it mean? This body mind complex.
I think it's in a relative world, it's important to have this distinction in some way. When I do this, what it is doing is primarily there is still some little separation within me, which is saying what I work in the world, like my role as a marketing head at Capillary, is different from my seeking, so to say, or my journey as a
This
devotee.
is duality.
That's duality.
Apparent perceived duality. Right. I love that. I love that. And I think one of the things that really expanded my understanding and consciousness regarding to him was I had this model of spiritual, true, authentic spiritual journey cannot coexist with corporate work life. Like that was my model. And then I met Jubin, and I love anything and anyone that can challenge my models. So I picked his brain and I asked him questions regarding this. And I think it opened things for me. So I'm curious how maybe you can touch a little bit upon this part, the duality of apparent duality of spiritual life or seeking or search, and the role as a in a corporate world as a marketing head of a company that is doing big numbers. And I think I also know that you speak about this in a way that it's all one. It's not two different things. So maybe you want to touch upon that.
I'll reflect on my journey. Will also give context to a listener. So I started with I'm an engineer by studies. I did my BTech from NIT Surat. Got my first job with Tata Technologies. At the same time, I was always into writing, so I was part-time working with Your Story. This was from my final year of my college. Did two jobs for a year or two, and then full-time went into Your Story as a writer, also the second employee, so saw a bit of the startup world, all of that. And for some reason, I had gone for a 2-week break or a sabbatical, not a sabbatical, 2-week break rather, to Himachal for Dharamshala International Film Festival.
This was which year?
This was 2012. 2012. Yeah. So, in hindsight, those 2 weeks kind of became 7 years. From 2012 to 19, I was in Himachal, Dharamshala. And so for a year, I was doing Bangalore, Dharamshala, and then 2013-14 is when I moved for good to Himachal. There were other explorations during that time of starting a organic clothes line, which I won't go into details of, small little experiments. But at that time, the whole journey was about rejection to the city. I thought everything city is bad, money is bad. There should be a different way of living. For a lack of better words, like the hippie within kind of was really exploring.
Hippie archetype came alive.
Yeah. So that was happening, and this is when I met, so to say, my now in hindsight my first guru, now wife, Saraswati, and she introduced me to Vipassana, as in Goenka's tradition, and had my first meditation experiences with that. Uh, just before that, I had also tried LSD. So Vipassana gave me a glimpse into a meditation experience which was much deeper than what a substance could give. So that helped me, in a way, say that substance is not required for the experiences that one seeks. Uh, from that time, was also a part of this community called Sadhu Sangha for a couple of years. Your story continued to be my bread and butter till 2016. At that point, the surge became intense and very strong, and I left. I never thought I would get back to the working world, but I left the corporate, so to say, in 2016. And the next 4 to 5 years were devoted primarily to explorations of primarily spiritual, of all kinds, basically. This was beat explorations, like going on the Narmada Parikrama, living like a beggar monk, exploring even multiple relationships, ideas around relationships, how it should be. This was also a phase where I didn't attend my friends who were getting married, having children, all of that. My trajectory was rather going in a different zone. Also, little back rewind, I come from Gujarat, small town, now a little big, but conventional Gujarati family. So, and the only child, so to say. So things with parents, family, all these things were going on. 2016 is also first when I had come to Arunachala, and yeah, that was Deepam time. We didn't know it was Deepam. Cyclone was there, but I didn't know that this place is going to become home 5 years down the line. So yeah, 2016 to 20, I think, was all explorations and different traditions, from Tibetan Buddhism to Advaita Vedanta, to, yeah, you name it. But yeah, within coming to Arunachala first time, and that is when just going to the ashram, I hadn't read anything. There was just looking at Bhagwan's picture. It gave us some kind of peace within, and that is what kept drawing me to this place and to Bhagwan, and that's how the Guru kind of finds you. But it took 5-6 years for it to mature to some degree.
From 2016 to 2021.
Yeah, and 2021 is when I had this intense calling, feeling, desire, whatever you call it, to spend 1 year in the vicinity of the mountain. And the message was that 1 full year to burn out your vasanas. The vasanas are still there. They're still burning out, very much there. Yeah, we were talking like, see, there's plastic then below. That's the.
So we were just before the,
Yeah.
before we started, we put some plastic underneath
The
our
cushion.
cushions, and we just realized it's a metaphor of our vasanas, how we put it under the rug to appear spiritual. We are just,
Yeah.
please continue.
Yeah. So yeah, 2016 to 19, 20, bank balance wise also almost came down to zero. In this quest of becoming a sadhu, all desires, all human emotions remain the same within. Of course, lot of churning, lot of very, very valuable part in the journey. But then the Guru, I think when the Guru truly finds you, and when this, call it fate, there's no doing of ours, but when this becomes very clear that he's the only one, and that's driving everything, then little wants of this I become very irrelevant. So with then whatever rejections I had of maybe not getting married or not buying land or not earning money, all that dropped. And with that, I somehow came back to the working world. Luckily for me, I was working with your story, because of which I had a lot of connection to founders to whom I could reach out and say, "Hey, I'm looking for some little work." And then something started, and I started in a very small capacity, and yeah, as life would have it, where I currently work, Capillary, the CEO Anish, he's also an ardent sadhaka in Vipassana tradition and visiting here as well. So the company, so he was coming here and we serendipitously met, and he was to take sannyas at that time, or rather he had stepped down as the CEO. And the joke
That's
between us
sannyas.
is that is like, instead of him coming, so to say, to this side, I got pulled a little into that side
He
of the
pulled you.
yeah.
Just joking.
But yeah, for me it was it was very clear that I need to. I had given myself 5 years. I had not given myself 5 years, but like it had been 5 years, and if I was a Bhagwan, the spiritual ego had to break, and it was
So the
very
5
clear.
year was of spiritual ego in some sense.
Yeah,
Some sense.
some sense. Where it is very like I want liberation.
I want liberation, and that means I will reject worldly things.
Yeah.
Again, creating another duality.
Correct.
Right? And that didn't work out by grace of life. Perhaps.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, I don't know how to put it. Very valuable that time, but yeah. Then it was after actually coming to Tiruvannamalai and Arunachala, as I was only living here. I think all of those dualities really started to dissolve, and it didn't matter whether I was begging and eating, or if I was given a certain skill, working a little and earning from that.
Okay.
So life in a way became a lot more sahaj and easy. So after that, yeah, we officially formally got married.
So right now you're married.
Yeah, married to Saraswati, and got a piece of land again, which I said 3 times. Like I was going to tell the person no, that I don't want, but Murugan sir, who runs Ramana Khadi Bhandar opposite Agnilingam, and a friend, I was calling. So Saraswati had gone to a Vipassana. I told him that I'll go now and tell him no, that no, we don't want the land. And this another friend, Arsu, he was coming from the opposite direction, and he stopped me. I was speaking on the call to tell him, but he stopped me and said, "Hey, what happened to your land?" Or something happened, and that conversation then just changed things, and we ended up getting a piece of land in Arunachala, and yeah, this is the only place you could. It's like the end of the world for me, as in here, whatever happens, it's fine.
Yeah.
And yeah, then the job also became over time much larger. Now it's we went public last month, couple of months ago in November 25. I lead the global marketing at a team of 25. So also realize that the amount of sadhana that a corporate can give is also immense. Humans in an ashram, humans in a corporate world are the same. We carry the same things within. So yeah, I try to, so to say, walk the path. And yeah, Bhagwan is holding, and it's his life now. He has to carry it.
Lovely. Thank you for taking us through these important junctions on your journey and how they have kind of.
Would be good for you to also share because we share a lot of parallel threads. So maybe how Himachal happened for you, if you want to go down that path.
Maybe I'll go to that path sometime later in the conversation. I think, yeah, we do have a lot of parallel threads. I also had maybe I'll go it right now. I said I'll go later and then I'm going. Till 2020, 2021, I am in Gujarat. I have a long-term relationship. I have a certain identity. I'm an artist. I'm doing theater. But I have this deep aversion towards the system, towards the world, towards the ways of the world. And I think in that moment, I also have this series, like my relationship is coming to an end, and then series of awakening experience. And anyways, cutting it short, it's taking me to Himachal in 2021, and then next 4 years are in Himachal. In between, I'm coming to Tiruvannamalai. I think I'll skip this part because if I go deeper into this, it will take a little bit more space. Right now, I'm just. I think when I'm listening to you, I'm listening to a rich journey with some quest going on. And what I would love for you to dive into is, what is this quest? What was this question? What were you searching? Like, I want you to give us the glimpse of your inner world. Right now, you shared your outer journey.
Yeah.
But what was happening inside? What were the questions? What was the discomfort? Why this bhav of going against the worldly ways? What are those things? Because so many of us are on this journey.
Yeah.
What according to you is the most important essential question? Like, touch upon any of these things that you like.
I think the most important part is silence. What was going within? For me, I think there was extreme discomfort.
Extreme discomfort.
Internal churning. I don't know what to call it, but like even as a child, I would tell my mother that I'll never get married. This is what she tells me now, and I can connect a lot of dots now in hindsight. But I'll stick to the question. And there was some questions that would trigger something very. I'll share a example. Maybe I was 10 or 11, and my grandfather and grandmother, they were very. I think I get this seed from them, and one more Swamiji who my neighbor used to bring to our house and who blessed while I was in the womb. But my dada and dadi used to take me to like Kabir Ward on the Narmada banks, which is like one island of one banyan tree covering the entire island, and Kriya Yoga places, Osho ashrams, and once in Mehsana Osho ashram, it's a funny incident also, but maybe till 11 and 12, I had never seen a woman who had hair on the hand or feet. And as a child, when I saw one of the sannyasis there, who hadn't old woman, who wouldn't wax, so to say, and that it's a very tiny incident, but it shifted something. Oh, yes, and we don't have to this is a manufactured reality in my mind that women don't have hair.
So suddenly that conditioning broke.
Something broke.
Something broke. What I believed to be true is not absolute truth. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All of this now when I see when a child in a primary tells his mother that he doesn't want to get married, there must be something from the past which would have created that seed within.
How?
Now, and this thing which I am sure if there are young listeners, everyone would relate to this, like the moment you enter a cubicle, something just as in like the moment I would enter a cube, like from my internships in L&T to SR to I would just get like, humans were not meant to be living in cages.
There's this intuitive knowing, right?
Yeah.
There's this intuitive knowing. What you're speaking to is it's a very ancient knowing within us.
Yeah. So that got reinforced so much, as in like at 4 or 5 internships, then joining Tata, like all wonderful places to work. And now I also
in
work at
a worldly
worldly
desire
sense.
way.
Yeah.
Like, right.
Yeah. But it was just very uncommon looking at cubicle after cubicle, and then I'm like with your story when I used to interview founders and entrepreneurs. I wrote more than 1500 stories, and the core desire of everyone in a way is to make profits and make money. Like that is what is wanting anyone to run a startup and start a company. And like there is unique some journeys, but it's all the same in a way.
More or less, it's that.
Yeah.
Seeking profit, seeking money,
Yeah.
seeking fame or recognition.
Yeah. So yeah, so these were the things that were going within, and this is the discomfort. As in,
What were you seeking? If
I
this was not your thing, okay, at the core at least,
yeah,
then what was your thing?
I know that now, but in that time it was just a
Dissatisfaction with, at least this is not it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what I'm seeking, but it's definitely not this. Perhaps that, right?
Yeah, and that led to all the experiments, like intense.
That was the beginning. So, would it be correct to put that dissatisfaction with the way things are, or the way I'm experiencing or engaging with the world? So most of us kind of engage with the world in this way, no?
Yeah.
Because our conventional
Something doesn't feel right.
Something doesn't feel right about this way of
Yeah.
functioning as a human.
Yeah.
We humans are not meant to fit in cubicles or run into these patterns of profit seeking. That is not who we are in essence, at least. It can be on other layers, but
Yeah.
because when I'm listening to this, what's coming to me is that in essence, we are these infinite, expanded beings who has taken this human form to express our infinite nature.
Yeah.
And the moment that is captured in a cubicle, but this cubicle is not just a physical cubicle.
Correct.
It's a mental cubicle also. Any idea, any framework, any labels.
Yeah.
Now you are an engineer. Now you can only do engineering. Like, I think there is a very inherent sense of discomfort, dissatisfaction, or contraction in that, and I think that's universal. Somehow I'm making this bold statement. Maybe you can question it if you need, but my attachment. This is how we go for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think when I'm listening to you, this is what's coming to me. That there is this intuitive inner knowing of who we are before we can find words for it.
Yeah.
Before we can find philosophies for it. And I think anyone perhaps who is listening to this, or even who is attracted to this, already have this.
Correct.
At some level you have this.
And everyone has it.
And everyone has it. I think there are two things. Either we are so numbed out that we don't even recognize this, that we are okay to run on autopilot, or we are aware and at discomfort because we are aware of the discomfort, but we are not yet changed the ways. Or maybe we have gone through another phase where we have made some changes and aligned ourselves. So I think maybe these are different phases of the journey.
Yeah.
In one lifetime, or perhaps multiple, whatever.
Yeah. And there's also the the problem of being human.
Problem of being human.
When you were talking, this came up that this body is also a cubicle.
This body is a cubicle. The identification with being a body, mind,
Yeah.
it's a cubicle, right?
Yeah.
Please go on that a bit. How is this a cubicle?
So we are all spiritual beings having human experiences. A very famous quote by I don't know whom. And we'll go in a different language of Prarabdha, but like each body has a certain role. And you can call it destiny maybe. And the spiritual journey is also in a way being completely comfortable with whatever role you are given in the world.
Yeah.
Having this deep trust that, and this comes only after a lot of agitation.
Yeah.
Like I would say, like for me, 7, 8, 9 years of agitation. After that, you come at ease, and the guru does that. You just come at ease with whatever you are in a human way.
You come at ease with whatever you are in a human way. That's what you said.
Mm.
I just want to, like when I'm listening to you, I want to touch upon the guru topic a little later because you have been mentioning guru multiple times and we all have there's so much mystery around guru
Yeah.
and scandals. But we'll leave the scandal part, but we'll stay with the I think when I'm listening to you about the body and the prarabdha,
Yeah.
what you're saying is body has a certain things to do or roles to perform, or and initially there is a conflict because I have my desires based on societal conditionings or whatever, or my own desires, or
Yeah.
then there is a constant conflict. I think initially there is a constant conflict between, to put it in different terminology, what my ego wants and what my soul wants.
Yeah.
Like what is the natural trajectory of this
Yeah.
this body or this incarnation, and what is my imposed.
Yeah.
And there is a conflict.
Yeah.
And I think deep down, if I want to put word to what we commonly long for, desire for, and I heard this word from you first, it's conflictlessness. Like we want to be free from conflict.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere we want to be free from conflict between
Aranya.
Aranya is that.
Aranya is conflict. Aranya, it also means forest, and Aranya is a no conflict zone basically.
Lovely.
No conflict.
Lovely.
I'll share a practical conflict. Actually, for me, I never wanted, like, I didn't like the word marketing.
Amazing.
And, like,
What's your role right now? Just to
the global marketing director.
good.
So, in a way, very. So, journey, it can be called in a very practical way, like journey of coming to a place where you are very comfortable with what skills you've been given. Like
Your worldly skills,
like I'm
probably.
just good at marketing.
Okay.
So I had to accept that, and this entire journey, like, no, like, why do you want to market? Everything will sell on itself, or if it has to.
All the narrations are against marketing identity.
Yeah.
But now, if I'm correctly assuming, you're playing the role of a marketing head internationally, perhaps, right? That's the title. I'm
Global marketing director.
global marketing director. But that's not your entire identity.
Yeah.
That's not who you are. You know that.
Yeah.
So that's one of the roles that you play.
Yeah. And now I see value in marketing after that. As in,
It's a leela.
yeah, it's a thing that you can do, and why not? I think we should take a pause here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we were at coming at ease with.
Identities, and I think we were somewhere near breaking from the mold of the identity and then embracing the identity of a marketeer.
Yeah.
Somewhere there we were.
Yeah.
So now you're playing the role of a marketing head, global marketing head, but you're not trapped in that. You don't feel confined in that. And I think I myself had that for years. Anytime anyone would put me in a certain identity molds, I would feel very contracted and I would have this rebellious energy to go against it. Architect, artist, not actor, theater artist. I also had this strong urge to break from these molds anytime someone puts me. So I think that's, maybe let's touch a little bit on the question of identity, because I think that's somewhere primary to this quest search.
Yeah.
You
I think I'll again reflect on my journey, or it or rather became easy to look at identity when the association or Guru's grace or lineage became clear. Once there is comfort with that this life belongs to Ramana Maharshi, then whatever I do in the world, whatever identity I have to adopt at a certain time, it's absolutely clear from within that this is required to do this. If I have to run marketing for so and so company, this is the role I have to play. If I am a husband to someone, this is the role I have to play. If I have, if I'm, if someone needs meditation as a practice, that is one thing in the spiritual domain which I can do decently well. That is the role I have to play. Initially, there were also conflicts around, if so to say, making money from teaching yoga or anything spiritual. I was kind of against that. To some level, I still am. Not against that, but now it doesn't matter if you are selling yoga retreats. It's the same at the essence.
who is selling it is important, right?
Yeah.
From what place am I doing that?
A person selling soaps can be more spiritual than a person who's selling.
Yes,
yoga
I think this is
retreats.
very important.
Yeah.
Like a person selling a spiritual yoga course can be more egoic.
Yeah.
Possibly, not always. It's possibility. And a person selling soap could be a saint.
Yeah.
Like Swamiji,
Mm.
he was a timber loader. He was
Yeah.
loading timber at that time.
Yeah. I think for listeners might be good to, it's referring to Balmurugan Swami. So if you can, maybe we both had very intense experiences with Swami. So maybe if you'd like to
Touch upon.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to talk about Swamiji, honestly. But yeah.
I'll give you crux then. Like if it's very personal for you right now, Swami Balmurugan Swami, he has been living in Tiruvannamalai from 43 years. He's 90 right now, and like a true realized being, as in it's an Arunachala's grace, and yeah, just his grace that we had this opportunity of being in the presence of a living master, if I may.
Yeah, and currently I'm blessed to be with him.
So Mustafa is serving Balmurugan Swami, spending the evenings there, 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. for 3 months. A rare privilege. Timber loading and like...
Yeah, the roles that he was playing was not very spiritual, so to say.
Yeah.
But he is the most...
Very important to keep working.
Yeah, he tells that.
Yeah.
Without engaging with the identity of the worker.
Yeah.
I think that's
and also the identity of work. Whatever work.
It's work happening.
Yeah.
And I think it's very difficult for a dualistic mind to comprehend this with mind, because mind inherently is dualistic.
Yeah.
But it's a good pointer to be with. Like, a lot of different spiritual masters will point to this in their own ways.
Yeah.
That there is doing, or there is work, like whatever. Seeing without the seer. Doing without the doer. And something that I have been integrating from Swamiji. Because when I'm listening to him, when he's giving me guidance, whenever I'm coming up with this sense of I have this dream, or I have this aspiration for spiritual work or creative work or expression, I have been telling him about this whenever, like, I'm serving Swamiji right now, and I have this strong Shakti energy which wants to go out in the world and create and manifest and all so-called creative and spiritual things, so to say, but still this I is there somewhere. And Swamiji's energy is very much like bringing that energy back to the source, the pure fire Shiva energy. And I think the way I'm integrating that whole apparent duality
Yeah.
is he is not against action
Yeah.
or doing
Yeah.
or manifestation, but he and many masters like him are in consistent denial of there existing a separate self, a doer.
Hmm.
I think that's what I'm taking.
I think that's the effort, as in like all of us for seekers or people, effort is very crucial, and this denial is in a way, it might apparently seeming rejection of something. It's not really rejection or not, it's not denial, but it's a acceptance via denial, if I have to put it
It's
that
the
way.
acceptance of the truth. It's not
Acceptance of reality, yeah. What is real?
It's acceptance of reality.
Yeah.
When I use the word denial in this context, it's like denying the falseness.
Yeah.
Like
Neti,
when I
neti.
am when
Yeah.
I'm when I'm showing up from a place that I am a separate self wanting to do something that is delusional.
Mm.
I can feel it as real, and I often do.
Yeah.
So where was I? Where should I start with? Yeah, so I
Denial,
think
rejection, acceptance.
acceptance of truth, and I think the essence that masters like Ramana Maharishi and Balmurugan Swami and many non-dual teachers
Yeah.
point to, Buddhism points to, Advaita Vedanta points to,
Yeah.
the same truth,
Mm.
which is the center of the identity quest also. That there is no, the Buddhism says there is no separate self. Or I think Advaita Vedanta says there is one self. And I think it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Maybe you can reframe it in a better way. And I think the conflict arises, like in when I see a conflict in me, it arises from a sense of separate self. And perhaps the whole path is about the dissolution of the separate self so that life can do its thing through this, whatever it is. And that's not as easy as said.
Yeah.
Because the separate self is created by my own desires for whatever. I have desire for creative expression. I have desire for spiritual work. I have desire for money. I have desire for sex. I have desire for...
Yeah.
And I think one of the central thing in our life is we all have desires.
Yeah.
Whoever, if we consider ourselves a seeker of any kind, we will deal with the topic of desire. And desire and self-realization is kind of...
Yeah, desire is creation, and there's no creation without desire.
Desire is creation. Go on.
And I think if you are listening to this and spiritual journey is the number one priority, I think all of us need to constantly check within ourselves. This is advice also, maybe from experience, maybe, but every time when I was at a crossroads of a decision, that whether should I take up this work, should I engage with this relationship or not,
Yeah.
should I've always checked within and tried to see, what is your number one priority in life,
Okay.
and take the decision from that aspect.
What is my number one priority and take decision from that aspect. That is what your mechanism is to
decide on something. Yeah.
In the whenever there is a conflict.
Whenever at a crossroads of something, and for instance, if for someone an answer comes at like spiritual attainment or this is not the answer, and that's perfectly fine, because at the core everything is spiritual, but that answer should come from deep within, and
It should be mine.
Yeah.
It should not be borrowed.
Exactly.
Because master says it, no. What is that deeper inner North Star right now?
Yeah.
And money, okay, can I accept money? whatever. But
Yeah.
so I think being very honest with ourselves
Yeah.
as to where I am and what my
Yeah.
inner orientation is.
Yeah.
I think I love that. I love that because I also have that. There is this inner guidance in us, and sometimes we are lying to ourselves. So I think sometimes we are lying to ourselves. Inner guidance is saying something, and we are saying something else, so to say.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to be honest with ourselves at whatever stages we are on journey. I want to add one thing here about the crossroad thing. Like whenever I am on a crossroad where I have to decide between two things, apparently, I think the kind of questions that helps me to navigate is what feels more aligned to my natural soul's trajectory or expansion. And there would be different aspects in me, and I would ask, what would choosing from love and faith and trust look like? And I think making choice based on that, because there is also fear. There is also that conservative, fearful part that wants to choose from that place of comfort, and I think that is one of the things that helps me.
Yeah.
But I love that North Star orientation.
Yeah, just being very true to
Being
oneself.
Truthful.
Yeah.
I think that
Honesty
is
is
one of
very-
the foundational qualities. Being truthful to ourselves.
Yeah. Every moment ये क्षण का यह सत्य है.
Truth.
उसको accept करना.
Very nice. Very nice.
And it became clear again, like when I took up work again. Yeah.
That felt truthful to you?
Need to earn money right now. Simple.
That felt truthful to you. And there is no one outside there to fool, no? Who is outside there? Like who are we pleasing?
Yeah.
When I'm, like, who are we pleasing? There is no one there to. Interesting. So I think one way I engage in this at all, if someone has a longing for Guru, if you don't have a longing, it's completely all right. But if someone has a longing for Guru, then my approach was to really pray into that longing.
Yeah.
Really devote oneself to that longing.
One thing which I learned is that any guru in the person who makes you dependent is not the real thing.
I think this is a good point.
Yeah. Drugs, LSD, the first insight that it gave me is when I lost perception of depth. I was trying to get down a staircase for half an hour.
I think deep down, we are seeking that.
Yeah.
Deep down, we are seeking union. Deep down, we are seeking our true nature, which is unified one. Words cannot capture it.
Yeah.
And drugs gives us that.
After trying it out a little only, I came to realize the transient nature of sex as well. And then the practice for me now is to again go back to the teachings of Bhagwan, teachings of Balmurugan Swami, and contemplating on Advaita, contemplating on the absolute reality, contemplating on the truth, contemplating on death.